Welcome back to Talk of the Town on 99.7, 1450 WHTC and WHTC.com.
We welcome you back to WHTC's Talk of the Town for this Thursday, April the 22nd. I'm Gary Stevens. Voters will be asked to go to the polls a week from Tuesday. The first Tuesday in May is an election day in Michigan, one of the four windows that the state does have for elections on a local or statewide level. And among the items that voters will be asked to decide in Holland and on the north side, Holland Township, is a millage proposal by the Macatawa Area Transit Authority, Max Transit to be precise. And to tell us more about that and what Max Transit is doing in the past 13 months as things have changed a lot. Brenda Vander Meulen joins us via the Zoom connection from Max Transit. Brenda, good morning and welcome to WHTC.
Good morning. It's nice to be here.
Glad you are with us. And if you have a question for Brenda, she'll be happy to answer it at 395-1450, 395-1450. For those, before we talk about the question that'll be before voters in May, for those who are new to our area, and we've had some messages from Max Transit over the last few days. Tell us a little bit about what Max Transit actually is, what municipalities are involved in what ways are they involved in what is this area's, for the most part, mass transportation effort in the Holland-Zeeland area.
Okay. Max is, as you said, it's our public transportation system for Holland and Zeeland area. The City of Holland and Holland Charter Township fund a portion of the Max through a millage. The City of Zeeland and the Township of Park have different kinds of contracts that allow their residents to participate as well. I'm not as familiar with exactly what those contracts are, but so the service is available for Zeeland, Park Township, Holland Charter Township, and the City of Holland.
Now, yeah, go ahead. Go ahead, Brenda. I'm sorry.
We have 11, Max has 11 fixed routes, which means you can stand at the bus stop and wait, and the bus will come and pick you up. They also operate a Reserve a Max demand response system, and that's really important because that's been very important during the pandemic as well.
Now, tell us a little bit about the fixed route system. Obviously, it had to be sidelined back 13 months or so ago because of the outbreak. It was restarted last summer, but on a limited basis. Is it still somewhat limited, or has it sort of eased a little bit as we are getting further along in this situation?
As I understand it, in March of this year, the Max resumed full service of the fixed routes. So all of those are now operating. They are operating with social distancing and, of course, special cleansing materials. One of the reasons that it's going slowly, or it went slowly, was because of the hiring of bus drivers.
Yeah, but put this way, but we've been seeing advertisements not only for Max, but also for some of the private concerns and the school districts. Hey, they need bus drivers as well, and they got to get their their commercial license as well, because let's put it this way: it's not as if hey, I drive a minivan and I can drive a bus because it's the same thing as a minivan. No. There are other responsibilities that a driver has more than just the actual operating of a bus.
Absolutely. That's absolutely true.
395-1450, 395-1450. If you have a question for Brenda Vander Meulen, she'll be happy to answer it. She is with Max Transit at 395-1450. Let's get to the phones. Good morning. You're on the line with Brenda Vander Meulen.
Good morning. I have a question I've always wanted to ask, and so I think this is a good opportunity to ask it probably.
Go ahead.
I'm wondering why the MAX system doesn't run on a schedule like a normal bus company so that commuters can use it. It takes an hour. When you go into the train station and switch buses every hour, it's almost impossible to use for commuting. And there has other places set up schedules so that you don't do that, where you can get to work in a timely manner. And I'm also wondering, when you see only one or two people on a bus, it just seems to try to figure out how to increase your, and being able to have people who have more to do with their time than just take that kind of time to get anywhere who have options. I'm just wondering what we would have to do. I support having a bus system, but I don't support the way that Holland runs theirs.
Right.
And I'd just like to know why we don't have that kind of a schedule. Thanks.
All right. Appreciate, and we'll answer the call. Thank you very much for the call, Brenda.
Well, I'm going to try. First of all, I want to clarify, I am not actually part of Max Transit. I'm a private citizen who is chairing the Lakeshore Friends of Transit Political Action Committee for the Millage. So I may at points refer you to Max customer service because I'm not actually part of Max. But I can talk to the schedule issue. I've been associated with and worked with the Max Transit for a number of years, and their dream would be to offer the kind of service that this caller is describing. They do offer a fixed schedule. They're at the bus stops either every half hour or every hour. But as she mentioned, it can take a long time to get across town. One of the things that this millage will help Max with is an expansion of services, which will be actually Route 12. I mentioned they have 11 fixed routes. We're moving to Route 12, which was supposed to happen during 2021, and because of COVID, it's a year behind. But it's an east-west connector route on the north side of Holland, which will allow people to transfer buses in two locations rather than in one. Right now, if you need to go from one fixed route to another fixed route, you have to take the bus to the train station in the city, and then you can wait for the next bus that's going where you're going. There will now be, as that east-west connector route is available, there would be a place to do that on the north side so that you would be able to transfer more quickly. The bottom line is it costs money to offer routes every 15 minutes or every 30 minutes. And there's a limited amount of funding available. And the goal is to make public transportation available and affordable to as many people as possible.
Brenda, let me use an old business line, supply and demand. If there is a demand, the supply will be taken care of. Right now, maybe because there isn't that much demand, the supply isn't there to have a regular bus schedule as maybe other larger communities do have.
Well, yeah, except that we do have a regular schedule. It's just not as frequent as people would like it to be.
Yeah, unfortunately, that's a byproduct of this particular state and
Yes.
the Midwest, because of the fact that other parts of the country have developed the infrastructure years ago for mass transit, be it the subways, be it the high-speed rail. It's there, and it's been there for decades. Here, a little different because we did have the trolleys, we did have the streetcars back almost 80, 90 years ago or so. But as the boom hit this nation, it was so easy access to the cars, and goodbye DSR buses in Detroit and a few other things. And now people want mass transit. You got to reestablish the infrastructure. It's just not there.
Yeah, absolutely. And so I can empathize with someone who says, hey, if it's going to take me an hour to get there, I'll just take my car. However, in our community, there are people for whom that's not an option. Taking my car isn't an option. And so having public transportation available is still very important to our community.
395-1450. Brenda Vander Meulen is with us. And again, she clarified her position. She is part of a group that is spearheading the efforts to get the millage proposal passed a week from Tuesday in Holland and in Holland Township. Good morning. You're on the line with Brenda Vander Meulen.
Good morning. Why can't they run the bus thing more efficient with the money they already have? Why do they have to keep going to the homeowners to help fund this stuff all the time? And don't they get federal funds to operate this bus system? And I think they should run it more efficient with the money they have. And, instead of asking for money all the time.
I appreciate the call. Thank you. Brenda, clarify a little bit about this millage question, because it is not a case of we need more money. It's a case of, and you pointed it out in your notes to us, it's a case of continuing to have the money access because it's due to expire.
Yes, that's exactly right. The millage can only be approved for 5 years at a time. So every 5 years, Max Transit comes back and asks for a renewal. This is not a request for more money. Yes, they do get federal funding, but the millage provides an important part of the overall funding. It is not a request for more money. And they actually, from my perspective, for the amount of money they have, they operate remarkably efficiently.
395-1450. Good morning. You are on the line with Brenda Vander Meulen.
Yes, I want to say it's a wonderful service, and if untoward you need it because of medical reasons or because of age or handicap, it's wonderful. I have just used it to go to medical appointments, but if I didn't have that, I would have a big problem getting to those appointments. So it's a wonderful service, and I think as far as the number of people on the bus, you've got to remember that, like with the Max Reserve, there are people on the bus that are going to the places they want to, and then there are new places. Then they pick up people there. It's kind of a dynamic thing that's going all the time. But to me, it's a wonderful service, and you never realize it, I think, until you need something like that.
I appreciate the call. Thank you. And Brenda, you got another satisfied customer, I think. Here.
That's wonderful. And that's a great example. During COVID, the fixed routes were stopped. People are very aware of that. But the Reserve of Max Demand was offered free for the entire COVID pandemic. So it continues to be offered free for people to get to necessary medical appointments, to the grocery stores, and to work. During COVID, Max was the only way for somebody to get to kidney dialysis unless they had somebody to take them personally. There was no other public option.
395-1450. Good morning. You're on the line with Brenda Vander Meulen.
Yeah, I'd just like to encourage everybody to vote yes. I'm already voted, and my whole family's voted yes. It's just, I think that people don't realize the people it helps the most are the people who need it the most. And if we didn't have that, the slack that would have to be picked up to transport and offer the services would be, I think, overwhelming to the community. I don't think the churches would step up and want to do that. They might, but again, I think it's a wonderful service. And I think I am positive it will pass, and I commend her for coming on board to encourage us. But I think it's a wonderful service that, again, you wouldn't know what's missing until it's gone, and it would be too late. So I just really encourage everybody to vote yes.
All right. Appreciate the call. Thank you. 395-1450, 395-1450. One other thing, Brenda, and you talked about the fact that the millage, if it does pass in 10 days or so, and I'm just guessing, I think it's 10 days. If I did my math correct, maybe 11. But anyway, if it does pass, not only would it establish that route, it would also help in terms of maybe making it easier for people to take the bus that they don't have to handle money. That's
Yes.
nice.
Yes, that's actually really interesting. It's one of the things we've noticed during COVID is that we're paying more with our phones, we're paying more electronically, and right now Max is offering free rides because they don't want people to have to handle money, but they're looking at an electronic fare box that would allow people to pay through a phone app or to scan a prepaid card. And again, they have stepped up cleaning efforts. They fog every bus every day to kill the virus and make sure that people are safe when they are on the bus.
But again, having the electronic pay feature, be it again through the app or through a card, maybe a card issued by Max itself, could be an alternative, or maybe a little keychain thing. Yeah, you never know. These scan things can certainly help. Good morning. You're on the line with Brenda Vander Meulen.
Hey, good morning. I've been listening to the callers, and I've lived in Holland almost all of my life. And I remember when the bus system started out with the old dial-a-ride, the red vans. And I do think it is an important service for many reasons, COVID certainly being one of them. And I do support the millage going forward. But when it comes to efficiency, here's where my big question comes in. Because I've always paid attention when I pass one of the buses, and I don't think I've ever seen more than two people on them at a time. Why do those buses keep getting bigger and bigger when, just from my own observation, I never see more than one or two people on them? So that's my question.
All right. Appreciate the call. 395-1450, 395-1450. And Brenda, that comment has been common over the years. For me, 20 years in this market, but it's a common thing where people are saying, why are we having these buses run when there's not a lot of people on them? But then if you don't have them running, there's people going to want them. So you can't win either way.
Well, and I think it depends on when you're looking at a fixed route. During the day. A lot depends on how people get around, when they go, where they go, and things like that. If you were to look at some of the nighttime buses, there's a twilight service that picks up people from Gentex when they get off work at 11 o'clock. You would see full buses. So it depends on the time of day. It depends on where people are going. And it's that balancing act between, gosh, how come you don't run more often so that people can get there more quickly, and what makes sense in terms of efficiency. And at this point right now, that's always a balancing act. My personal opinion is that in Holland, I've lived in Holland since I went to Hope College more years ago than I care to admit. I think that we're pretty used to hopping in our cars and getting places. And we're a small enough community that we can do that if we have access to cars. And so I think sometimes we just don't realize that there are people that simply don't have access and have to get to those bus stops and ride. And we really, again, want that to be available for those who most need it.
Welcome back to Talk of the Town for this Thursday, April 22nd. I'm Gary Stevens. We're chatting with Brenda Vander Meulen, and we're talking about the Max Transit millage question, which officially is 0.4 mils renewal for a 5-year period that would take effect January 1, 2022. And as Brenda has mentioned earlier, she is not officially with Max Transit, but the group just clarify for me real quick, Brenda, the group that you are involved with to try to get this thing passed.
I'm chairing the Lakeshore Friends of Transit Committee. Public institutions cannot advocate for a particular position on a political issue. So Max can't go out and talk to people and say, please vote yes. Lakeshore Friends of Transit is a political action committee. We can not only educate people about Max, but we can say, and we would really like it if you'd vote yes.
Along the lines then of Lakeshore Friends of Transit, right now it's mobilized for the ballot question.
Yes.
But are you also involved with perhaps other transportation issues that would be involved beyond perhaps just the max transit, or is just simply this is for this question only?
This is actually for this question only as a political action committee. And I was on the committee 5 years ago. Some of the members that are on it now were not on it 5 years ago. One of our current members was on the original committee when the max first was approved as a millage, which is like 16 years ago.
The reason why I'm asking is because obviously it's one thing to mobilize for a specific topic at a specific time, but transportation issues go beyond just that question. I've talked to people involved with Max in the past about ideas of maybe expanding, if not expanding the service, but getting the outreach so there's a connection perhaps with the Rapid in Grand Rapids, or with maybe up in Grand Haven or down in Saugatuck. Could the Friends of Transit say, hey, you know what? If we get this thing passed, maybe we can help push things along a little bit along those lines to extend the max transit fingers beyond just the immediate max transit footprint?
Well, there actually is. The Max Transit has a board of directors that includes citizens as well as government officials, and they work on those things year round. One of the things that is currently being worked on, there was a discussion yesterday in Allegan County about expanding Allegan County's transportation. And one of the things that could happen if they did that is that the South Washington Family Fair in Holland, which is in Allegan County, could become a transfer point to connect those. There's lots of conversations and planning going on about regional transportation.
Yeah, let's, I'm looking beyond just this coming a week from Tuesday, but, again, that's a little ambitious considering let's get out of the COVID-19 situation before we start maybe broadening our horizons. Final thing, Brenda Vander Meulen, again, explain what voters in Holland and Holland Township will be asked to do a week from Tuesday at the ballot box.
Okay. Again, we're asking for a renewal of 0.4, I never know what to call them, mills or whatever. Essentially, if your home is taxed at $100,000, that costs you $40 a year. And that $40 from all of us combined provides funding that is matched federally and helps us to continue to operate. One thing I wanted to mention specifically, and one of the callers talked about the importance of having this infrastructure in place and what happens if you didn't have it. As we've gone through the pandemic, if we had not already had demand service and max infrastructure in place, a lot of people would have suffered and would not have been able to get to really critical appointments. And I wanted to also make sure everybody knows that Max offers free rides for vaccines. So if you need a vaccination, call Max. They'll come pick you up and they'll take you there to get it.
Brenda Vander Meulen, I want to thank you very much for joining us today on WHTC's Talk of the Town program. Tell us a little bit about the ballot initiative. Hopefully all goes well a week from Tuesday, and look forward to chatting with you again sometime in the future. Thank you, Brenda.
Thank you very much.
That is Brenda Vander Meulen of the Lakeshore Friends of Transit on 99.7 and 1450 WHTC.